What's up, gamers? I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with hardcore solo self-found. And in this video, I'm gonna bring a banger of a build, something that I've done multiple times now, and it's got me to the far into the end game on multiple accounts, and it's only the beginning. There's gonna be so many new things with the new update coming in that I think is going to enhance this build, and I think you're really gonna like it. So if you're a hardcore solo self-found, you found yourself a pillar of the cage gods, you can't get your hands on those hands of wisdom because it's a very late game, well, then this is the video for you, because what I have in front of me is the strength stacking Gemling Legionnaire. Tune in and enjoy the video. And she's dead!
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need
Important disclaimer. So this build was designed and created prior to the 0.2 massive Dawn of the Hunt update coming out. And so this might not be optimized. And if you find something that is better than what I have and you want to try that out, shoot me down a comment down below and let me know what you think of the build and how can we optimize this to create the safest and most potent build for hardcore SSF in Path of Exile 2. All right, so we're going to get into a little showcase here. This is a tier 13, 14, or maybe even a 15. I don't quite remember, but this is on my level 87 that actually died doing the Trial of Chaos, unfortunately. But this is just to showcase this build. This is pretty much verbatim what you're going to be seeing, and you can see like a higher tier map, not a problem. All right, so diving right into this build, we are utilizing the Gemling Legionnaire's Ascendancy of the Mercenary, and this build is focusing on strength stacking. All right, not intelligence, we're not utilizing the hands of wisdom. We are utilizing strength stacking because I play mostly hardcore SSF, and a lot of you that are playing SSF or hardcore SSF or just hardcore don't have their hands on the Howell yet, and it is extremely difficult to find something that is not using this, that is using the Pillar of the Cage Gods. So that's why I've brought to you the strength stacking guide here, because it has been extremely viable. I have a level 87 in the end game and a level 82, both using Pillar of the Cage Gods. One is using Titan Rot, and then the other one is just stacking Evasion Energy Shield. So in this video, we're going to be going over the armor stacking with strength and utilizing the Titan Rot. As I think it's an extremely good chess piece, especially if you get good rolls on it. That can carry you literally all the way through tier 15 maps. It's pretty awesome. But what's great about this build is specifically for hardcore solo self-found characters, it gives you like an immense amount of strength, which gives you damage because, as we know, the Pillar of the Cage God gives 10% increased weapon damage per 5 strength. So we're stacking strength on top of stacking health while stacking strength. So we're getting over 4k health and then blowing up entire screens utilizing the Herald of Ice. Now, something about this build is it is extremely viable and there's a lot of variability with it. I use Ice Strike on my hardcore SSF characters because it's a little bit safer. You can kind of blink out of sticky situations occasionally because you jump from enemies, rather than Tempest Flurry, which is a lot more mana heavy. It does more damage and it's much quicker because you basically are always moving, but it's, I'd say, like a little bit less safe. I like that layer of freezing enemies with Ice Strike brings, and makes it feel a little bit safer. Disclaimer, this is not the highest damage output build. As you've probably seen, there's a lot of Howa stat strength or stat stacking builds. There's a lot of different uniques you can use for this build, but again, we are going to be focusing on just some more common uniques that you can get on SSF, on hardcore SSF, and that is the Titan Rot. Again, a little bit less common, but I've still gotten 5 or 6 on my SSF characters, and then the Black Sun Crest, again, I've gotten 5 or 6 of those. So they are not as common, but they still are common enough to where people get them. Ideally, on the Black Sun Crest, you want to corrupt this if you have multiples and try and get Spirit on it because it'll make your life a just a hell of a lot easier, honestly, in my opinion. But if you don't have these items, do not fret that you really only need the Pillar of the Cage God to make this build work. These 2 items just are fantastic. Like, again, getting that strength stacking and plus armor on the Titan Rot, which again can carry you through tier 15 maps, as well as negating the negatives of the Titan Rot with the increased dexterity and intelligence from Black Suncrest on top of the strength bonus. And do not sleep on Light Radius. You know, I know it's kind of a meme, but you can actually get through maps much faster utilizing Light Radius, because your mini map, you know, you can see a little bit more, so you can kind of see where everything is. All right. When you get to the end game map, I'm just going to throw this out there. We are going to be anointing Titanic, as it gives the 5% strength, 30% increased stun buildup, and 30% increased stun threshold. Now, it is really close to the tree from which we'll be going, so if you don't feel like anointing that, or you have something else that you want to anoint, feel free to do that. This is what I like to do, this because it saves me around 7 skill points of getting here, and I still get this awesome benefit. Again, percent increased strength is fantastic. So that's what we'll be anointing, and it's cheap. It's easy to get. It's one of like the first few deliriums that you'll get in terms of rewards, so it's pretty easy to get. All right, so getting right into the skills, just for right at the beginning purposes, if you are leveling this from start to finish, we're going to be utilizing Glacial Cascade in Act 1 all the way to level 14, and even past that for safety reasons, as you're going to be pretty squishy until you can start stacking some armor and some life, as well as getting your resistances maxed out. So if you feel more comfortable just using Glacial Cascade and then utilizing Ice Strike and Tempest Bell on the bosses, feel free to do that. I kind of used different variations of that all throughout the campaign. Now, these support gems are basically interchangeable. You'll be utilizing, you know, Glacial Cascade and using Martial Tempo in it, as well as, you know, Concentrated Effect sometimes, depending on, you know, if you're trying to just do boss damage. I like to put Primal Armament on Glacial Cascade as well. And then you can use Upheaval. Again, you will be doing less damage, but it basically sends 3 different fissures out. So it can kind of clear a lot of the trash mobs out of the way for you. That's why I like that. So just kind of interchanging those, but getting right into Ice Strike, what we like to use. And again, you might not have that 5th gem socket or the 4th gem socket for a really long time, because they are way too rare, and, you know, GG Games needs to figure it out. But for the first 3, which again, you'll get a lesser as soon as Act 3, I like to use Martial Tempo, Concentrated Effect, and Close Combat. This is going to give you pretty optimal damage, and again, you can interchange these out with different things. I'm sure there is some different damage variations, but I think this is the easiest and best way to go. Again, some attack speed, some more damage, more AoE damage, as well as, you know, close combat gives more damage. Tempest Bell. We are utilizing the Expanse, Leverage, Heavy Swing, and Super Critical. Again, if you have that 4th socket in there, I don't even max link all of these, because it's going to be extremely difficult if you're on a hardcore SSF that you're going to actually get 5 links on everything. Again, on my level 87, I did find a perfect Jeweler's Orb, so I do have you know, max linked, but it's unlikely you're going to get that. Getting into the Herald of Ice. Now, we're going to be putting basically the opposite. You know, we're going to be putting lightning support gems in Herald of Ice, and ice support gems or cold support gems in Herald of Thunder. That said, because Herald of Thunder is actually going to proc more, so when you're attacking mobs, you want to freeze more. So this is actually going to freeze more mobs. It's going to basically proc more rather than Herald of Ice. But the Herald of Ice is where we're going to be blowing things up, and so we're going to be shocking with Herald of Ice. This is going to give us more damage. So we're going to be putting Lightning Infusion, Conduction, Innervate, and Lightning Penetration in our Herald of Ice, and then Ice Bite, Cold Infusion, Glaciation, and Cold Penetration in our Herald of Thunder. Again, you can take out Cold Penetration and Lightning Penetration if you only have a 3 link. If you have less than that, just follow what I just did in here. So I have Ice Bite, Cold Infusion, and Lightning Infusion, and Conduction. Now, getting into, once you get past the campaign and into Cruel, you'll get to Combat Frenzy. This is where we're going to be getting all of our power charges for the charged staff and basically just being able to stay up on that at all times. Combat Frenzy, if you have the extra spirit, you're going to want to throw cannibalism and vitality in it. If you don't have extra spirit from other things, then you will not want to add those in. But our first support gem, pretty much the most important one, is Profusion. That's what we're going to be throwing in Combat Frenzy. That's just going to basically help grant us more charges and try and keep our charges going at all times. Now, getting into Charged Staff, this is going to be adding an extra layer of damage in AoE. It's basically, again, going to proc every time you have charges. You're going to cast this, and then you're going to be doing more damage. Again, just an extra layer of damage on top of blowing mobs up, and you're going to be hitting them from further away, which is going to make up for the lack of intelligence that we're going to be having in this build. So pretty important here for endgame. And for this, we're going to be using Persistence, Perpetual Charge, Arcane Tempo, and then again, if you get that fourth link, Culling Strike. Now, for bosses, you're going to be utilizing the Hand of Chayula and the Tempest Spell on top of Ice Strike to do most of your damage. You can sub out Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder for something different, more defensive for bosses if you want. I haven't had to do that yet, but you can certainly do that as well. But for Hand of Chayula, I'm putting Freezing Mark in there. That's going to make them more susceptible to be frozen. And again, for our boss damage, for a lot of this, we're going to be really focusing on stun buildup. So you're pretty much going to be perma-stunning or perma-freezing these bosses. So really important to use this right away when you get into a boss fight. Conductivity, again, that's going to make them more susceptible to lightning damage, which is going to help our Herald of Thunder and everything else hit. On top of that is Heightened Curse. So then we get 25% increase effect of curses. Jewels. So on hardcore solo self-found and solo self-found, it is really hard to get a good jewel. So it's going to be important that all you're looking out for is percent life on kill, percent mana on kill or mana on kill, and then you want to be corrupting these jewels to get resistances or more attributes. That's going to be the best two things that you can get. And again, it is risky because most of the time you're going to get kind of fucked from the jewels. So it's going to be good to watch out for those, and it's super worth it to keep corrupting them until you get a really good one because they are quite OP at the moment. But it does take a while to get a good jewel. I only have, one or two that actually are, I would consider perfect. So just wanted to throw that in there. Getting into the skill tree, man, I could spend a lot of time on this. There's so many different routes you can take, but I'm going to go through the route that I found is the best and easiest to play. And again, feel free to throw in your variation any way you want, or if you find something better, shoot me a comment down below and let me know. Getting into the Ascendancy first. So your first 2 points are going to be in attributes. So you want the 3% attributes. That's going to be really good. It's going to help, a little bit, but little bit by little bit. On top of that, we can go into adaptive capability. Since we're strength stacking, this actually will help equip any other gear or things like that. Again, not the most useful. But what we're really after is our second Ascendancy, which you will get, hopefully by Cruel, Act 1 Cruel, which is going to be more attributes and then enhanced effectiveness. Now, this inherent bonuses from intelligence, strength, and dexterity are doubled. It's just the bonuses. So instead of 2 life, we are getting 4 life, and vice versa with the intelligence and the strength, the mana. With the dexterity, the mana, and the accuracy. So for strength, this is going to be really good. This is where we're going to get a lot of our life from, is from this. So we're going to be actually getting quite a bit of life from this. After that, you can see I've not even made it there. We're going to be going with skill gem quality. That actually is super OP. I don't know if that many people have talked about it or recognized, but quality, and it's not even written in all the skills yet, but actually gives you huge bonuses. For like Ice Strike, for example, we can see that the quality on this gives us more attack speed. So you have plus 12% from global modifiers, and then you can get the plus 10 or 20% from just using gem cutters, and you can actually get quite a bit of attack speed from that. And again, with the bell, you get more hits, charged staff, not even, increased skill effect duration, which is super important. and you know, all the way down. Everything has benefits from quality, so this actually just gives an additional 2%. And then if we go up for our last ascendancy, which would be another 2% quality of all skills, and then the advanced thaumaturgy, I don't know if I just butchered that, but 30% less cost of skills. So that's going to be completely removing your mana issues, which you will find very quickly that mana is a major problem. If you're using Tempest Flurry, you're really going to run into mana problems. Ice Strike is a little bit less because you're not using it or casting it per se as much, so you actually use a little bit less mana. Now, getting into the skill tree, if you want to start Acts 1 through 3 over just really focusing on going straight over to this path into the warrior side, there's actually a lot of really good early game skill nodes in here. For example, we'll want to grab Battle Hardened as well as Feel No Pain if you're using evasion and armor. But Battle Hardened is going to give you strength, dexterity, reduced critical damage bonus, and 20% increased armor and evasion. Very, very good. There's an attack speed node right here, so you can actually get some attack speed early on. Very, very good. Over here, you can see if you're not utilizing Titan Rot, Relentless is going to give you some life regen, increase armor and strength on top of armor, and then Sturdy Metal is going to give you plate body or armor, body armor, strength is going to be right here at Brutal. So there's a really good little skill tree set right here, as well as going up into Beef. And there's a couple damage nodes along here as well. And then going all the way over to Brute Strength, which is going to be the one you want to really focus on. We're getting 1% increased damage per 15 strength. So it's going to add a ton more damage on top of already the 10% per 5 strength that we're getting from the pillar. All right, I will leave a link down in the description for this tree. But here's basically the tree that I think you should go, at least all the way through level 70. And again, you can create your own variation of this as you go, but I think this is the best route. So going to follow this all the way down. Again, stacking just strength as much as you can. Utilize dexterity and intelligence when you need to equip something. But our main goal is getting all the way down to polymathy. That's going to give us 10% increased attributes on top of all these other little attribute nodes in here. We're going to stop over here at Jack of all trades as well. If you have higher intelligence dexterity, feel free to get that. But if you don't early game, that's fine. You don't need this, this node right here. Main goal, again, like I just spoke about, if you're going the more warrior route this way, but if you're following this, we want to go all the way over to Brute Strength first, as it's going to give us a ton of damage. It's going to give us so much damage. Especially if you're utilizing Titan Rot, it's going to give you a lot of damage because you're going to be getting, 500, 600, 700 strength pretty early on, and that's going to give you more damage than you need all the way through to your 10 maps. All right, once you have your Brute Strength, you have your Beef, you have whatever else you're going to grab over here, we're actually going to start working our way all the way down the line here. Again, strength stacking everything you can. And our first notable stopping point is going to be Proficiency and Falcon Technique. And again, you can go ahead and anoint this if you want, if you don't want to come into this at all, but the attack speed is going to be actually a massive damage boost. So I think it's not too far off to go here. It's definitely worth it. So I'd say start there. After that, we're going to go right into getting Martial Artistry. It's going to give us plus 25 dexterity. So again, more attack speed. It's going to give us more accuracy rating. It's going to give us more critical damage bonus. And if you want, you can go into crit. There's some crit and strength nodes right here you can grab. There's also a damage boost with accuracy rating right here at Falcon Drive. So very, very good nodes to combo with crit and the Martial Artistry. But I just didn't. I went a different route, and that's where I'm at. And right now, I'm kind of have some points into conservative casting for mana because my mana cost is just really high, and I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still working on getting better gear and getting my last ascendancy. That will help a ton. But following this, we're going to go right into Overflowing Power. That's just going to make our quality of life a lot better. So we're going to be getting damage with power charges if they're being consumed, as well as getting +2 maximum power charges. So that's going to allow us to use our charge staff for much, much longer. And what we're pathing to in the main focus early game, like I said, by the end of Cruel, you'll want to be into Resonance, so you can utilize your charge staff and always have charges up and going. That's why we're gonna be using Combat Frenzy. Combat Frenzy is going to give us the charges, and Combat Frenzy works with Resonance, basically hand in hand, so we can get our power charges, because we're going to gain power charges instead of frenzy charges. Well, Combat Frenzy gives us frenzy charges, so that turns it into power charges, so we can use our charge staff. And that is pretty much what I have for the skill tree. Like I said, I'll link it in the description. This one is a little bit different right here that I recommend, so I'll put the recommended one down in the link below. Let me know what you think. Again, if you have some better alternatives, I am happy to see that, and I will happy to change things up. This is just the best that I've found all the way up through level 90, which is where I'm at right now. So I'm sure there is going to be some different variations of this that'll be a little bit better. Link them down below. Let me know what you find.